Yes, cannabis can be used recreationally for the high, but that is not where I go with it. At 71, I've got all these issues and I want to be able to resolve them and live my best life. Being high all the time is not living my best life. If you're suffering from anxiety or nausea or inflammatory pain from arthritis, this plant can really resolve those issues for you.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored, while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians, doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith-Walls.
Hello and welcome to the Cannabis Truth Podcast this week. I'm delighted to have you here with me, and I wanted to tell you just a little bit about my week. I've been seeing a lot of clients who are very, very afraid. And I wanted to talk about this aspect of being an elder, because at 71, I have had a lot of fears that I have been able to dispense with for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons, main reasons, is because I cleared the clutter in my head that stopped inputting fear into me. And I began getting some real help through great mentors, and I began using the plant. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I've had so much success using the plant along with that other formula I just gave you, getting rid of the junk that's coming into my head from news and watching movies that have lots of death and dismemberment and mayhem going on. None of that. Doesn't need any of that. Doesn't need that. And listening to good stuff. Like I listen to Sharda Devi. She's an amazing spiritual guide and business guide too. She's a tech goddess, and she turned me into a tech goddess. And then there's Panache Desai, another amazing gentleman who I just so get what he's saying. He so speaks every word, just like he's sitting in front of me right here, like you and me, just talking to just me. And it's wonderful. It feels like he's speaking to just me because what he's saying jives in my head so well. And it just feels wonderful. It feels like I'm being hugged and supported and loved for who I am. And so he's putting all of these wonderful thoughts and feelings in me that are making my head just go happy, happy, happy. And now my brain is releasing all of these wonderful chemicals that are flooding and flushing through my body that make me feel good. See how that works? All that mind work connects to the chemicals that are in us that make us feel better. Exactly. So there's a lot of disconnect I think that we feel as humans because of the chaos that we continue to put into our minds. So I really am trying to get rid of all that chaos and think the right thoughts that are going to get me where I want to go, where I want to be, which is in the present, right here, right now with you. And what we're talking about today on this episode is myth busting, so that we can have the real facts and get rid of the fear and help ourselves in a proper way that we can really relate to and enjoy. So today on the Cannabis Truth Podcast, myth busting. Here we go.
Yeah, honey knows.
This is a shout out to all my entrepreneurial sisters. I'm wondering, are you feeling stuck like I did when I first started my business? I hadn't been through business college, and there were so many things I didn't know and understand, especially about marketing, especially about the back-end bone structure of your business, and all the little things that you could do to help yourselves in the way of tools that you make handy for yourself during your business structure and your ongoing business. So looking forward, if you need help in getting those little projects done, but you've been stumped because you just couldn't figure out one piece of that app or the next step or the next darn, and you just wanted somebody to just show me how, I'm your girl. That's why I created honeyshelp.com. Now you can get a la carte help for those little projects that have just been nagging you. Yes, it's true. I can help you with a lot of that stuff that builds the backbones of your business. And we can do it together in a stress-free situation where you will enjoy learning how to structure the backbones of your business. I hope that you will go visit honeyshelp.com for more information about what we could do together to get you past those hurdles and roadblocks that have just been stumping you for so long, when all it would take is just a few minutes of somebody showing you how. I'm your girl. This is Honey Smith Walls, and I hope that you will too. Go visit honeyshelp.com today. Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit, in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free. Hey friends, why is this product so special and why am I showing you on my phone? Because when I show you the real product, it's backwards on the screen. So I just wanted you to know that, yeah, I really do take this product. It comes in dropper form and I love it so much. Why? Because it helps me with pain and anxiety and nausea. And it does a whole bunch of other things, and it's not even cannabis. It's not. It's a terpene. Dr. Blair, the founder of this product, found out that a higher concentration of this terpene would do a lot for us, like calm anxiety, calm nausea, calm inflammation, calm pain, and it's not even a cannabinoid, but it acts like one. That's the key to this one terpene. What's so amazing about this one terpene? Let me tell you the name of it. First of all, it's got a lot of syllables in it. So it's called beta-caryophyllene. Let me see if I can show you that up here. It is an endocannabinoid activator. You see this girl thriving at 71? I blame this product for most of it. And the name of the product is BC Plus. It's so cool. Let's start with 4 of them. Let's start with 4 of them, shall we? These are the ones that I find that I'm up against all the time. And by the way, if you're picking up the cartoons in the background, it's because my grandson's home for the day, home from school. So just ignore that, and the music will return any second now. There it is. All right. The 4 myths that I'm talking about are that cannabis is only for the young. You know, elders wouldn't be using it because, second myth, it's always about getting high. And the third myth is that it's just too complicated and you know, the languages, you just don't understand anything about it. And the fourth myth is that there's no real medicine to it. There's no medical value, and, you know, it just doesn't do anything for you but get you high. Well, let's start with that first one, shall we? That cannabis is only for the young. That's because of the bad reputation that one particular type of cannabis has gotten, marijuana. Marijuana has gotten a very bad reputation because when it was taken away from adults and kids found out how it could make them feel, then kids took over the production of cannabis. And it was like the language completely changed from the ancient usage of this plant for medicinal purposes. You see, before Prohibition, which happened when alcohol prohibition was over. Soon as alcohol prohibition started, cannabis prohibition started. And there's a lot of politics that's involved in all that naughtiness. Because cannabis had been used for all of our world's history for many reasons. Industrially, it helped people make their bricks and their pottery stronger. It made their roads last longer because their bricks were stronger when they paved the roads with bricks. It made their buildings stronger when they made their homes and, you know, anything. So that was just industrial use. They used it medicinally for all kinds of ailments, getting over lung issues, getting past eye issues, getting past severe pain, getting past nausea, getting past sadness, getting past grief, getting past anxiety. All of those human aspects that we go through, cannabis has been used for since the world was created. It was only in the early 1900s that cannabis was taken away from us around the globe. And that was from naughty American politicians that started that. And so now we're trying to clean up their mess as usual. And it has created a very fractured system around this plant that used to have a really marvelous reputation. I'll bet you didn't realize that we have a real American history that has never been taught in our high schools about cannabis. For instance, our first American Navy was built on the backbone of cannabis. Or maybe I should say the backbone of our first American Navy was built with cannabis. I think that's how I should say it. The point being, back in those days, you couldn't shove a boat across an ocean without sails and rope, both made from the fibers of the cannabis plant. They call it hemp. The other kind of cannabis is marijuana. Both the same plant, just grown differently so that one will grow more of one compound and the other grows long fibers to do industrial stuff with, and also other compounds that are very medicinal. So once you start learning just a little bit about the science of cannabis, you begin to understand very quickly that it is not hard to use practically. So that bad reputation of the marijuana plant seeped over into the whole reputation of this beautiful plant that's been used for all time. It was here before humans. And it's also used for our animals. We can, the cannabis seed is a whole food. That means that you could just subsist on just eating the seed if that's all you had to survive, and it would keep you alive. That's what a whole food means. And so, it's got all the nutrients to keep you alive. And so cannabis seeds are very powerful. And then, again, when we use it medicinally and not just recreationally, then we've got all kinds of help for inflammation, we've got help for pain, we've got help for anxiety, and those are three of the major human and animal issues that we can tame without running to a doctor all the time. You don't have to do a doctor dance if you want to tame your anxiety, because you can use gentle plant therapy in cannabis to manage that. And I didn't realize what an anxious woman I was until I was well into my 60s, my later 60s. I didn't realize because I was always so happy, but I didn't realize that I had this huge underlying anxiety. And so the happy face that I always put on was just masking that anxiety. And once I realized the reasons for that anxiety and I could begin doing something about it, the cannabis plant helped me tame that anxiety so that I could then go into my psyche and do the inner work that had to be done, thinking about all of that stuff, how I got to where I was and blah, blah, blah. It's not easy work. It takes time. And it takes a good mentor or a good therapist, really, a talk therapist that can help you, maybe a hypnotherapist, maybe, there's just all different kinds. So until you find those people who really resonate with you and can help you, then, we are just struggling to get out of that mindset. Cannabis can help us get there. So the first myth that cannabis is only for the young, no, cannabis is for everybody, not just the young, but everybody. They even give cannabis to babies in certain forms so that it will stop their seizures that come on by the hundreds in a day. So there are just amazing usages for cannabis medicine now. And yes, cannabis can be used recreationally for the high, but that is not where I go with it. At 71, I've got all these issues and I want to be able to resolve them and live my best life. Being high all the time is not living my best life, but being able to focus because I'm not constantly thinking about the arthritic pain in my hands before every thought, or the neuropathy of my fingertips that feel like razor blades have slit them, or the nausea in my belly that just is overwhelming and feels like waves of, oh my God, do I need to run to the can or what? You know, it's vomitous how nauseated I can feel. And cannabis solves all that. If you have these kind of issues, if you're suffering from anxiety or nausea or inflammatory pain from arthritis or whatever your issues are that are causing inflammation, do you have that kind of pain, that kind of issue? This plant can really resolve those issues for you. And I even know doctors in my medical tribe of scientists and medical doctors and doctors of osteopath and doctors of pharmacy and nurses, RNs with their BSNs, with their cannabis masters. I know so many people in this industry who I've been learning from who are still doing ongoing studies and new studies with humans. Those have begun. So now we've got real clinical trials to fall back on. Look at the data from those real human and animal clinical trials that they've just begun recently. So, and now we have real universities who have created master's studies in cannabis. So it has begun. This is not just a plant for some young whippersnappers or people who are just looking for the high. No, 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 no. This has always been real medicine for both humans and animals. And I'm so happy to be bringing this news to you if it's new. And if you believe any of these myths, then that's why I'm sitting here talking to you about it today. There went Mango, my big old orange cat. So the other myth, the third myth, the first one was that cannabis is always, just only for the young about getting high. Nah. And it is truly medicine, and it has always been for humans and animals. And the second one that is just for getting high. Nah. It's always been renowned as a medicinal aid for humans and animals. But the third myth, that it's so complicated and too intimidating to try, especially on your own. Yeah, I'd buy that if I didn't know anything about it. If I never researched it, never looked up anything, and never asked any questions about it and didn't know anybody, but you all know me. You're here learning about it. And if you're really curious about how to do cannabis practically, I say this all the time. It's as easy as putting butter and syrup on pancakes. Truly it is. Yes, you've got a lot of choices now because technology has shown us how to make it available to you in many different forms. And science has taught us that if we choose our form of how we use this plant carefully, if we really strategize about how we use it and the different forms that they come in now and the different formulations that are created for us, why, we can even create our own formulations at home in our own kitchen. It's true. If we know just a little bit, look at that, I can snap my fingers today. And that's because I've had the plant and it doesn't hurt my fingers to snap, not from the neuropathy of the tips of my fingers and not from the arthritis going down these bones that, hurt those bones and muscles. That's what cannabis does for me. If you know just a little bit of science, which I can teach you easily, it's as easy as putting butter and syrup on pancakes. I say it all the time because it's true. If you know just a little bit, you too can find relief for anxiety and inflammation and what's the other one I always say? Acute pain. There it is. So, and nausea. Ugh. So, the fourth, and let me just go back to this one point. We're still talking about people being a little intimidated by the complexity of this plant. And I just want you to know that yes, the science and the history and the politics, all of that stuff is incredibly complex. It's incredibly complex. And that's what I have been studying over the last decade and why I'm here talking to you for the past 6 years on this podcast about cannabis and how to use it. And you go back and look at my first podcast. Oh my glory, they're hideous, but they're there. And you will see how I have changed. You will see me become this thriving 71-year-old who has this energy for life and verve for helping others and surviving on this planet in the very best way possible. So yes, go back and look at some of those old podcasts and you will see how I am thriving now. And then you can judge for yourself what it's like for a human to start using the plant well and what it looks like to be in the midst of still using, but thriving, not having that thought of pain in front of every single thing I need to say or do. It's such a joy to be living in a world that I can manage all of that old lady stuff and have energy and focus to thrive and do the things that I want to do, live in my own autonomy in the world that I am designing. Yeah, it's without fear. And it's wonderful. That's what I want for you all too, and why I do this. So the last myth that I want to talk about today is that, because of its bad girl reputation, they think that there's, no medical value in this. But as I've been talking about it, cannabis can... I had a great big tumor right here over this bridge, and they called it, in fact, a bridge tumor. And it just felt like a little pimple or a little, I don't know what, maybe I don't know what, just at first. And then it grew into just a little teeny tiny, more of a little lump, and then it grew into a big thing, until finally it became the size of a kernel of corn. And I could not smile without that big bulbous tumor showing. And that was going on for, I maybe took 2 years for that thing to grow. And I kept going to the dentist and they kept looking at it and doing nothing and saying nothing and just feeling it and going, that was it. And then till finally it's so bad. I went to the dentist and I said, what do we do? And he said, well, feeling around on it, he said, we're probably going to have to take some teeth out in order to get that out. We're going to have to take that bridge out that you've had since you were 16 years old. And then we'll probably have to, take some other teeth out around that to get that tumor out. And then because there won't be any teeth there, we'll have to probably take the rest of your teeth out and then do reconstructive surgery. And then you'll have to have dentures or depending on how much bone is left there, maybe we could do implants, but I'm thinking dentures, and my mind just exploded. I was terrified. Ripping my teeth out to take a tumor out, and then reconstructive bone surgery, and then new dentures? Well, I was pretty afraid. And I came home, and by then I was several years into my cannabis study. And I got a hold of some what we call FECO or RSO. And that's just a real concentrated form of cannabis that's real gooey. It's kind of like tar. And I got a hold of a lot of it and began using it immediately because I knew that concentrated form of this full whole spectrum, whole plant product could possibly get rid of that tumor. So I began using that. And a couple of months later, here's my photobombing grandson. A couple of months later, that tumor sort of went poof, and it deflated all of a sudden. And I knew instantly that I had just experienced apoptosis, when a cell dies, cells die. And they must have died inside that tumor because it just deflated. And I went back to the dentist. In fact, I went to a new dentist, and I told him what had just happened, and he looked and he said, oh, that's just a little bridge tumor. I can pop that out. And he went, and there it was. And then it was over. He sent it to the lab and it was nothing. It was just a growth. It didn't have anything in it. Or maybe it was dead. And that was the end of that. All these are my pearly whites. 71 years old. And maybe not as white as they used to be, but they're all mine. And cannabis got rid of that tumor. So this is the power of the plant and what it has done for me. And like I said, you go back and look at some of my early episodes 6 years ago, and you'll see I wasn't doing nearly as well then as I am now. That was 6 years ago when I started this podcast. So if you're looking for a little help for yourself for any of these issues, anxiety, inflammation, acute pain, headaches, if you'd like to sleep well at night, oh my goodness, cannabis can help you sleep all night long. You just need to know the formulation that's right for you, and I can help you with that. It's so easy. Really it is. When you just understand a little bit. The women I've been helping, they are thriving too. They are enjoying their lives so much more now because they're getting better sleep. They don't have nausea and anxiety anymore. They can plan their days without having to run to the bathroom because their tummies are feeling better. They don't have all that IBS stuff going on anymore because they've been using the plant and it's calming their systems. Why? There's a reason for that. It's scientific. I'll tell you that too. The little programs I've got, you learn so much so fast, and it is so much fun to hang out with you. Look, I'd like to show you that I'm a new author and this book has just come out. It's called Healing Beyond High, and it is a book that I created to help you understand the language of this plant so that you can use it practically, because it has many languages. It's got the political language. It's got the historical language. It's got the recreational language. And it's got a practical language for use now as well. So when you grab this little book, and you can get it, from anywhere off the sky, and begin to read it, it's only 116 pages. But what's so very, very special about this particular book about cannabis is that it's already peer reviewed by the doctors that I have been working with and learning from, and they are in here. Well, I can't find it. Well, there's one of them. She's a veterinarian, and that was the point I was making with this. Dr. Angie Krause is a veterinarian out in Boulder, and she is amazing and has her own little courses that she gives about using cannabis with your animals. And so I wanted to give you a source to go so that you could also help your animals. You know what's coming up soon? Halloween. You know what happens at Halloween for your pets? That doorbell starts ringing and they start knocking, and then there's these crazy little monsters at your door, and you're handing out candy and stuff, and it's scary, and your animals get so very afraid. So you can use the benefits of this plant for your animals during those times, like for a thunderstorm, if they shiver and shake and are so afraid. So there's all kinds of reasons to use for your animals too. I use this on my old 15-year-old Paco. You haven't seen him wander through here, but he's sitting down right over there. And old Paco, he's got some serious liver issues, so I've been using a whole plant formulation for him as well. And he's feeling better. He doesn't just sit around and cry. His belly is not as distended as it used to be. His poops are okay. He's peeing okay. He's got a little bit more energy. He wants to go bye-bye. And so, oops, there went all the years. And so, yeah, I use cannabis on my critters too. So, go to the sky, grab a copy of Healing Beyond High. Look for the doctors and the trusted sources that I have already put in this book for you. It's only 116 pages, and it costs less than the purchase of lunch at McDonald's. So I think you will enjoy it. I'm certain that it can change your life, and you can get a very obvious view of how to use this plant practically for yourself. And if you'd still like, to hang out with a bunch of other like-minded people, then you can come jump on into my courses and hang out in my social networks, in my little realms. We've got free groups on Facebook that you can jump into right now. You can go to Healing Beyond High on Facebook, my Facebook group, and sign up there for free and stay in touch and get to me, even in the back channels on DM if you'd like to ask questions. So I'm here for you freely, and I've got other courses where you can spend quality time with me and other people you will enjoy speaking to and learning from. So that's about all I can think of for today. Don't forget to help yourself understand how to use this plant safely and effectively so that you feel fantastic and are thriving on this planet. I'm sending love to everybody. Thanks so much for joining me again this week, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Blah, blah, blah. Take care, y'all.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.
A quick shout out to Nathan Pierce and Daniel Rome of the 406 Budcast and their brilliant tech goddesses who created what you're about to hear next.
She walked in with wisdom and a fire in her eyes, talking plant truth where the silence lies. From the roots to the bloom, she saw the light. Now she's teaching folks how to heal it right. Not afraid to challenge the tale of lazy myths in a system that failed. She's got science in one hand, stories in the other. Lifts up the voices they tried to smother. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the soil and love in the smoke. Speaking for the elders and the ones left behind. She's the shaman of the leaf with a warrior's mind. Yeah, honey knows how the healing flows. From Florida sun to digital waves, she's breaking down fear with every word she says. Cannabis truth, that's her battle cry. For the mamas and papas still scared to try. She ain't selling hype, she's serving facts. Taking big pharma to school with class. With a mic and a mission, she lights the way for the lost and the curious every day. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the bud and peace in the dose. Teaching the plant like a sacred art. From the ECS to the beating heart. Yeah, honey knows. How the healing flows. She's been burned by the system, lifted by the plant, giving voice to the ones who thought they can. A sister, a savior.